How far would you go for flawless beauty? Celeste didn't stop until there was nothing left to give, not even her soul. Celeste was only 10 years old when she first heard the remark that would shape her life. It wasn't cruel, just a childish comment, part of the usual banter the innocent teasing kids often do. And you, yeah, definitely round. That was it. No insults, just that one word, round. At 10, Celeste didn't fully understand what it meant, but she felt it. She noticed the way it hung in the air long after the words had been spoken. That night, she stared at herself in the mirror, her eyes tracing the shape of her cheeks, the curve of her body. Her reflection felt foreign, like it didn't belong to her. That evening, Celeste quietly asked her mother, "Mom, do you think I'm ugly?" Surprised, her mother reassured her, telling her she was beautiful. Still unsure, Celeste pressed further, asking if she was too round. Her mother, though gentle, suggested she'd be prettier if she lost a little weight. It wasn't meant to be cruel, but Celeste took it to heart, believing that being thin was the key to beauty. By the time she was 18, those words were etched into her mind. Social media didn't help. On her phone, she saw an endless stream of photos, models, influencers, celebrities, all of them with flawless skin, sharp features, and perfect bodies. It wasn't just her classmates' comments anymore. It was the whole world telling her who she should be. It was constant. It was relentless. Celeste didn't spend her money on nights out. No parties, no fast food, no clothes unless they were tight enough to show her progress. Every paycheck was hoarded. Every dollar counted. She skipped meals to save for liposuction. She skipped birthdays to budget for a nose job. She slept on the floor to afford cheekbone contouring. Pain meant nothing. The bruises meant progress. But the mirror? It always found something else. Her apartment became a maze of reflections. Tall mirrors, pocket mirrors, smart mirrors, all arranged to catch every angle. She didn't speak to friends anymore. She didn't need validation. She only needed the glass. But even her mirrors began to lie. They didn't show her what she felt inside, that perfect version, trapped just beneath her skin, until she found it. One day, while browsing an unfamiliar street, Celeste stumbled into a dusty antique store. The shop smelled of rotting wood and old leather. As she wandered through the narrow aisles, her eyes caught sight of something different. A small oval mirror framed in dark wood sat on a shelf. It was slightly fogged, like a breath against cold glass. Curious, Celeste lifted it, and as she gazed into it, her reflection looked better. Her skin was smoother, her features sharper. She looked like the version of herself she had always imagined. Celeste was captivated, not just by her reflection, but by the sense that the mirror understood her. For the first time, she felt beautiful. She brought the mirror home, placing it at the center of her apartment. At first, she spoke softly to it, but soon, she found herself having deeper conversations. The mirror never judged her. It only reflected the ideal version of herself she longed to be. One evening, Celeste found herself speaking more freely. "What should I do next?" she asked the mirror. It was almost as if the reflection spoke back, not in words, but in an overwhelming sense of knowing. "Your cheeks," Celeste whispered, watching her image. "They're too full. Maybe a little contouring?" The next day, she booked the procedure. Afterward, when she looked in the mirror, she felt a thrill of satisfaction. She had made progress. As the weeks went on, Celeste began to hold full conversations with the mirror. She asked it questions about what she should fix next: her nose, her lips, the shape of her jaw. The mirror always had an answer, and when she didn't ask, it offered suggestions. "Maybe try removing some of that fat under your chin," the mirror seemed to suggest one day. "It'll make your jawline sharper." One night, Celeste stood in front of the mirror, staring at her reflection. "I'm getting closer, right?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The mirror didn't answer with words, but the reflection smiled back at her. Flawless. Perfect. It didn't need to say anything. Celeste could see it, feel it. She was finally becoming the version of herself she had always wanted. As the months went by, Celeste's savings for surgery slowly ran out. She had spent everything she could to perfect her appearance, but the procedures became too costly. Soon, she found herself unable to afford the changes she so desperately craved. She stopped leaving the house altogether, her world shrinking to the walls of her apartment. The mirror, the one she had bought in that old antique store, became her only companion, her only confidant. Her reflection became her obsession. It was the only thing that made her feel complete. Celeste's desire for perfection grew darker. Without the money for more professional procedures, she took matters into her own hands. The mirror had been whispering to her for so long, offering advice and suggestions, and now she followed it without hesitation. She started small. One evening, with a small syringe she'd found in a forgotten drawer, she began injecting her lips with cooking oil. The pain was sharp, but the swelling that followed felt like progress. Her lips grew larger, fuller, but they were uneven. It didn't matter. She could fix it. The mirror smiled back at her, as it always did, reflecting her distorted face with approval. Next, Celeste turned to her body. She didn't have liposuction or fancy machines, but she had a turkey syringe, something she'd seen in a desperate YouTube tutorial. She used it to suck out fat from her stomach. The skin pulled tightly, leaving behind bruises and scars, but she ignored the pain. After all, the mirror was pleased. Days passed, and her obsession with perfection grew deeper. She began barely eating, only a few crackers here and there, determined to shed the last bits of fat she believed still clung to her body. Her cheeks were next. Armed with a scalpel, she cut into her skin, carefully removing the fat and leaving her face gaunt and hollow. But to her, it was better. To her, it was closer to what she'd always dreamed of. She didn't stop there. Her toes, which had always seemed a little off, were next. Using a pair of scissors, she clipped them, making them more even in shape, even though the pain was excruciating. The mirror reflected her progress. It was always there, offering its silent approval. Then came her teeth. She found a small metal filing tool, the kind used to smooth rough edges on small objects. She filed her teeth down, grinding them into points, her gums bleeding as she gritted through the discomfort. The mirror showed her a smile that was almost perfect. Almost. But there was always something more to change. Finally, Celeste turned to her ears. She couldn't bear the way they stuck out ever so slightly. Grabbing a pair of clippers, she carefully cut off a small portion of the cartilage from the tips of her ears. The pain was unbearable, but she smiled through it. The mirror smiled back. The more Celeste altered herself, the more she became consumed by her reflection. Her body transformed into a distorted version of her ideal, but she couldn't see the changes. She only saw the perfect image the mirror presented. Reality and illusion blurred, and she was lost in her quest for unattainable perfection. She never left her apartment. She never spoke to anyone. The mirror was all she needed. It reflected everything she wanted to see. Every small adjustment, every flaw erased, every inch of skin smoothed out. Her reflection became the only thing that mattered. Weeks passed, and the landlord noticed something was wrong. Complaints about a foul smell led to a forced entry into her apartment. They found Celeste kneeling in front of the mirror, her face mutilated, her lips gone, her nose barely recognizable. Her body, now devoid of almost all muscle and fat, was skeletal, her ribs and bones prominently visible. However, although her body was lifeless, she wore an assumed smile on her face, a grotesque reflection of the ideal version of Celeste that only she could see. As for the mirror Celeste had spent countless hours in front of, it had always been nothing more than an empty frame. It had never reflected anything, yet she had believed it did, lost in the illusion it created. The frame remained, empty and silent, a constant reminder of the obsession that had consumed her.
Thanks for watching this chilling tale on Silent Vault. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more unsettling journeys into the unknown. Remember, some things are better left in the shadows.